coming to you live from Gaylord Palms, and if you're not here, you should be.
Exactly. You could be in a pool.
Right.
I think we need to test it. We should probably scan and show them the water slides and all this
Yeah.
stuff going on. Oh, yeah.
And what are we doing? We're at Florida 21, and where you should be, because it's no secret that this is happening, and it only costs $121 to come, and you're going to get a lot of information and a lot of fun, and you still can jump your ass in your car and be here for the sessions that start today at 1 o'clock. Right. So we came in last night. We had a good meeting with the managers, just kind of seeing what we can do to help you guys be better, which is what we do. Right. So that's what we're doing. So we decided,
And we talked about you.
we talked about you a lot.
How can we help them get what they want?
Right.
Well, how do we get them to know what they want? If they knew what they wanted, then we could help them get it.
Right. So we were talking this morning. I'll start with a story. We'll go through a few of them.
That's a good story because it opens up the dialogue for where we're going to head.
So,
and as he's telling the story, I want you guys to think about how confident are you to have this discussion?
so new construction, Harbor Condos, Madeira Beach. It's irrelevant where it is, but I'll just put context to the story. So we've got 38 units that we've sold, and this is the 12th flip inside the building. So we've had 38 plus 12. So this is the 50th sale in a 38 unit building.
And you started the prices at?
Started prices in the 600s, and the last sale was 1.25 million. Right. So
Well, that's what the market did.
different square footage and all, but it's a nice unit. So we have an agent of ours actually bought the unit, and at pre-construction, I'll just use hypothetical numbers, of course. Let's say she paid around 900 grand for a unit. So just how much? There's a couple lessons in here. So she put down 180 grand about a year and a half ago, and that's what she did. And that was her investment in this condo. She's prepared to close on it if she had to. She actually bought two, and we already flipped one of them for 1.25 million. And she has a second one now that we put on the market for 1.25 million. She didn't know if she was going to keep it or not. She decided to not. So we put it on the market about a week ago. And then
Wait, a week and didn't sell with multiple offers in
No.
one day?
we did not have 800 offers. We had
So the market's softening.
markets crashing, right? It's a lot. So
What market?
well, but let's be realistic. I realistically had 0 calls on this listing, right? Nothing, no action, total crickets, and it makes sense because the market's weird and people are hitting the pause button. That's the way it is. And so, but
It's not the stop button. It's the pause button.
It's the
People are freaking out.
The Fed's going to meet Wednesday. Rates are going up again, right? The stock market that's probably already factored that bump in. So it's not a big issue, but people are not doing things speculatively right now. They're looking to buy. So this particular agent, they're represented by another agent who I know in the marketplace. And so she calls me, she says, I have somebody interested. And I said, great, I'll meet you there. So I went over and did my thing like you guys do. So we show it, and I sell the benefits, the features of why they should buy this unit and why there's nothing else like it. And they'll be thrilled to death, and measuring where the pool table's going to go and selling the lifestyle and like what kind of parties you guys have, how many people come over, where you're going to put your TV, right? Getting them into the moment and living in their unit, right? That's what we do. And so emotionally, they love it. They're picturing where their table's going, and there's the sunset, and everything's awesome and amazing. We're holding hands, everything's great. And then they leave. And then the agent calls me and says, okay, they're interested. A couple questions. Where's the parking spots? All that crapola, which I don't know. I just make it up with a downswing. And she says, okay, well, they're very interested, and we're going to make an offer. And I said, well, let's just pause right now because there's no offer. It is what it is. It's 1.25 million. Well, we know the market's softening, and we're going to offer something less. So, no, why are we going to waste time? It's going to be a very short conversation. It's not going to happen.
Well, I think you said, what market's softening? The market for brand new construction across the street from the beach.
Yeah. So she says, the market's softening. What's up, Chris? Market's softening, and we're going to put in an offer. So, which market are you talking about? So the market of brand new construction, right on the water, 4-minute walk to the beach, with a splash pad around the corner, basketball courts, tennis courts, playground, Winn-Dixie, liquor store, French restaurant, Thai restaurant, mini golf, ice creams, right? Everything's right there with a brand new Marriott coming in 400 yards away with 160 room, 40,000 square feet. So there's not another comparable property. And so there is no market. The only market we care about is the other pre-construction homes. right? So
We'll go find one of those.
go find the other one. And there is not another one, and we're able to do it. So she says, okay, so there's no wiggle room at all. There's zero wiggle room. But because we know it's worth it, and you guys do too. So I'll call you right back. Calls me back probably 90 seconds later. Says, okay, he just wanted to try, and we're sending him the offer. So let's talk
Operative
about that.
word there is try, right?
Yeah.
They got to try.
Why not?
And if you have commission breath, then you're going to cave to that trying and end up backpedaling the whole way, right? And what are our sellers hiring us for? Now, if they had offered $1.2 million instead of $1.25 million,
I could have pushed that through.
that would be $50,000 less for our seller, right?
Yep.
And we charge 3%, so an extra 0.5% in our pocket likely would normally be 0.5% of $1.2 million is $60,000, $6,000.
And here's the reality of it. I could have very easily said, you know what? I got to present all offers. Give me what you guys want. Let me go talk to the seller and see if I can make it happen. Right. I could have very easily done that with commission breath and said, well, I don't know. What do you guys think it's worth? They paid 900. So if they sell it for $1.1 million, they're still making 200 grand. That's over 100% return on the investment. I could have gone to the seller and said, you should take this. Market softening. We haven't had any other phone calls. It's a great
Inflation's up.
return. The Fed is meeting on Wednesday. Just take it. It's $1.05 million, for God's sakes. Take it. Right? If 990 grand, you're walking away, this market could be crashing. Take it. Right? It depends on how we're going to actually do it.
Let's talk about that though. So let's say you took it and this new buyer comes up with a $5,000 deposit.
Yep.
Right. And then the market does wiggle a little bit. What's the buyer going to do?
Walk.
Walk for $5,000.
Yep.
So how much deposit are you taking on this contract?
20%.
Oh, with a downswing, 20%.
Yeah.
So not 20% of $1.2 million, it's $240,000.
Right.
Now is the buyer going to walk from $240,000?
If they do, great.
Thank you.
Right.
Then we can sell for $1 million and make the same amount of money.
Right.
Except we get part of the $240,000. That's right. Which is pretty
You
nice.
have to know your value though, right? Like I was hanging out with Laura Wolf yesterday and I told her I was going to quote her on this morning meeting. And
You got to do
she-
it with an accent. though.
I can't do her accent. I would
It's not as
totally,
good
I
without
would
the
totally destroy it. But she flat out told me yesterday, she said, listen, in this market, I'm getting ready to charge my clients 4% on my side. And she said, because this shit ain't cheap. Literally was her quote. This shit ain't
This
cheap,
shit
right?
ain't cheap. You can see her doing it. too.
And I love it. She's like, this shit ain't cheap. And I love it. And she's right, right? But it all comes back to confidence. You have to know your value. You have to know the value of the
Well, she's
property.
signaling value too. What's she spending on her photographer to take the
Oh,
photo?
yeah. She's spending money. She's investing.
She's got
And
a
she's serious
video.
about it. And when you hire her, you're not hiring her, you're hiring us. You're
She's got
hiring
about those blue Pulitzer clothes. That's expensive too.
They're not cheap. But yeah, I mean, you have to know your value, especially in this market.
But
Yeah,
not in
but then-
a cocky way, right? You got to present
Yeah,
it.
not a cocky way. And then, honestly, if the value's not there, the value's not there. But at the end of the day, everyone on this call has everything we have to offer, which means you are offering value, right? That you can't charge for. And you should charge.
And the value is the downswing and the way that you communicate, right? Because everything is, we're in the people and communication business. With that other agent I know very well, I could have she can sense, I can sense it in a heartbeat. I knew that that I was going to win from the way she said, well, we think we're going to put in an offer, right? She's not convicted in her own conversations, right? So she lost just from the way the words flew out of her face, right? And I could hear that, and I know that, and I know that I can pounce, and I know that I'm going to do a better job, and I know that I'll be a better negotiator than she is, simply because of the way the words come out of her mouth, right? And that's the value that we need to portray. If you're not talking about what you bring to the table, if I'm going on a listing presentation, it's not just, hey, you're hiring me and blah, blah, blah. Say, look, let me tell you where the sale happens. Once the person comes to the door is where I start going to work. Marketing is whatever. We're phenomenal at marketing. People will come see this
Marketing's
house.
automatic.
When they walk through that front door, I already win because I see their car, I see their attire, I shake their hand, I see their eye contact, I listen to them. I know if they're visual, auditory, kinesthetic. I know if they're D personalities, I's, S's, or C's. And then I go to work and I create a really nice connection and I listen and I sell, right? That's what you're hiring for, is my sales skills, my years of experience and my ability that I've learned. And I put the effort and time and all the seminars and books and audios and trainings, everything that I've done to make myself better, I'm now bringing to you. right? You're not just hiring an agent, you're hiring a great communicator, a great negotiator, and that's how this works, right? That's where we earn our value, guys. Everybody can sell a house or put it in MLS. It's what happens when the person comes through the front door is the difference.
Yeah, let me give you a story, and I like the story, and I want you to tell it over and over again. There's a, it's really a true story. There's a commercial agent who, you want to talk about? Commercial agent's new in the business, and he's trying to market this commercial property. And he's got an idea of who the owner's likely buyer is going to be. And he's trying for weeks and weeks and weeks to get an appointment with this guy. And the guy just blows him off. He goes to an experienced brokerage in his firm and says, dude, I need help getting to John Smith, whoever he is. And he says, sure, I'll help you, but I want 50% referral fee. And the kid's like, God, I've tried everything I do. Okay, I'll give you 50%. We'll split the deal. So the experienced broker makes one telephone call, sets the appointment for the kid. And the kid goes, dude, that's not fair. All you did was make one phone call. And you made me think when you said that. No, son, it's a 20 years of experience and connections that enabled him to take my call in the first place.
That's right. It's the
Right.
trust that came when he
So
saw
it's
my
the
number.
preparation, it's the years of real estate school and training, all the stuff that we do as a company for you, amalgamated to one point that gives you the confidence to say it.
That's
And then
right.
I wanted to comment on us as listing agents have to be the same way with our sellers. It's a joke. You know, I'm my 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 social connections
Thanks for
come
throwing
from
that COVID around.
my social connections come from walking my dog. Listen to my story.
No, go ahead.
My social connections come from walking my dog, and I walk my dog in the farm that I live in, right? So, and all my neighbors are talking to me about, did you see that house on Under Market? I mean, 2 doors down from mom in the market for $1.2 million.
Yeah.
And mom texts me, it went under contract, right?
Yeah.
The last one before that sold for $979. Where the hell did that number come from?
Right.
And then other people are putting their houses up here and up there. So the same conviction you had with the co-broke agent telling them, no, we're not doing that. This is where the value is.
Yep.
We got to have the same conviction with the sellers in this market too. No, you can't just try the market at 2.5. The last sale was $537 a foot.
Oh.
Let's go there.
Good example. I got a phone call from the girl who cuts my hair.
I don't have one of those.
No, you don't. There's actually people that cut hair, by the way, and their whole profession is doing that and trimming stuff up and making stuff look good.
But
But
think of the
we'll
money I
talk
saved.
about that later. Right. So anyway, she calls me. She goes, I got a friend of mine who I talked to, and I told her about you. She's got a beautiful piece of property. She thinks she'd get $4 million for it, and she would like to get your advice. I said, have her call me. So she called me, and I said, I'll see you at 2:00. Why 2:00? Because that's when my kid takes a nap, and that's when I could take time out to go do it, and it's my schedule. So that's
And you
what
want
it
my
is.
advice?
Yeah, I'll see you at 2. And so I go over to their house, and it's a beautiful lot. It's a crappy house. It still literally has the avocado bathrooms and all kinds
Oh,
of stuff
wow.
on it. But it's beautiful, 160 feet on the open water, wide open view, phenomenal, no wake zone.
But it's a teardown.
Could be, right? It could be a great remodel. It could be a teardown. Could be anything. And she goes, I really think it's worth $4 million. And I said, there's no way in hell this is worth $4 million. Now, will it be? Yep. And I said, here's the honest advice. I know you. She used to live 4 houses down from my beach house, right? So I've known her for a while too. And so you don't need the money. Don't sell this. Because 10 years ago, what was this worth? 10 years before that, what was it worth? 10 years before that, what was it worth? Did it go down or did it go up?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
So
nothing
10 years
worth.
from now, no matter what the market does, is it going to go down or is it going to go up? So if you want $4 million, it will be worth $4 million. It's just not right now. So what are you going to do with the money? I don't know. But then why would you sell this? Don't do it. Why don't you rent it out and ride the appreciation? And then it comes out that it was better for her to put some cash and back into her trust because she wanted to do something else. It's like, good, now you have a use for the money. Sell it. But you're not getting 4. You're probably not going to get 3. You're probably going to get 2.5. So if
Which
you
is a
want
lot of money
4,
for a vacant lot.
and it's a great lot.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get it. And so easily we could have said, well, let's try it and see what we could do, right? There's supply and demand. But that's not what you wanted. That's what you wanted to hear.
You're going to look like a moron if you put that.
Right. Well,
Outside
maybe,
bar
but
with
maybe
$4
not.
million.
I could say, all right, there is literally nothing else. Like there's some rich guy in California that would love this piece of property and there's nothing else to buy. So we might. And I said, I can't price it because I'm not the buyer, right? It's supply and demand and there's not much to not supply. So what I would honestly consider doing is we auction it. and we say, we're going to sell this on September 30th. And let's see who wants to pay you what, because there's no comp. It's not going to appraise for anything that you try to sell it for. You want $1,500 a square foot. It's just not there yet. Right. So that's the advice. And she's like, well, I have a lot to think about. I said, you do? I said, keep it or auction it, because anybody who tells you a price right now is just pulling it out of thin air, and there's no comp to it. And it's just, it's a very rare piece of property. So do with that what you want. And she said, thanks for your time.
You know, I'm just having a thought right now that this is Marketing Monday.
Yeah.
And we really haven't talked about marketing at all, but we have been talking about marketing the entire time, right? It's the presentation that you make to get the goal that you want.
That's right.
And I was talking to an agent last week about, you know, some vacant land. We were talking about vacant land on.
There's some weird guy flexing behind you, showing his chest off. It's really
I'm
awkward.
not doing it.
I'm a totally different color than the two of you.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm surprised I haven't caught fire already. The sun is slightly coming out.
It's 8:30 in the morning. He brings sunscreen to the pool.
Yeah, I didn't put it on, which is why I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch fire here like any second.
Yeah, but nobody really needs to see your nipples for this long. That's my point.
We are live.
At least I took the earrings out.
Jonathan's gonna have fun editing this.
That's right.
Did anybody ever chat in and tell us if you can hear us? Because we're still there.
Okay.
You're good? Okay.
We got an audience over here too.
We're
Jump
live
on in,
audience.
Chris.
Yeah, we went. Jump in.
All right. So what's the point of these stories, right? This is what we do. What we do is we tell stories, and people believe our stories or they don't. And it all depends on tonality, right? And people trust you. They want to be with you. They want to be led by you, or they don't. And it completely 100% is how you sound.
Well, I think a part of it is important to talk about too is, are you attached to the outcome?
Right.
You are not attached to the outcome of that sale example. You
All right, it's going to sell.
It's going to sell or it's not going to sell. Right. Give it. It's already sold now.
Right. And I'm preserving the values in that community because I'm very vested in that whole project and that whole marketplace. And I will not let values drop there, because I've got a lot of riding on that whole stretch of dirt, right? So if I let that cave, then I'm screwing myself and the seller and everybody across the board. But so that's what you got to think about. Where's the value? But you can't, if there's 4 other replacement properties, I could not have had that conversation.
Right.
So it's knowing your market and knowing supply and demand.
So I think we talked about micro markets. What market? If it was a 3-2 in Dunedin and there's 8 houses for sale and they're all similarly priced, now you got competition. I'd consider taking an offer on that.
And then you tell the seller, we got one, thank goodness, right?
Yeah, because if one of those other 7 lowers their price, they're gonna affect all your options.
That's right. So yeah, you got to be really confident about knowing the market that you're in.
Well, now's the time, right? So I think we talked about this yesterday with the management team. I think we're all about to see the biggest shift, right? And the biggest opportunity to grab market share as an agent. But now's the time to go. If you're a good agent, which you are if you're watching this, it's time to be a great agent, right? Yep. There's a famous Wayne Gretzky quote that said, "Good players play where the puck is. Great players play where the puck's going to be." And that's exactly what we need to do now, right? We need to stop playing where it is currently. That's obviously important, but we all know kind of where things are now. We need to start playing where it's going to be. That anticipation comes from the experience and doing this a long time, which a lot of you have. And if you haven't, guess what? You're surrounded by
people who have
and a leadership team that has, right? 30 years, over 30 years of experience. So that's what you have to now lean into and really elevate, right? Because if you can become great right now and really elevate yourself, there is a ton of market share that is going to shift, because you have a lot of agents that have gotten lucky over the last 2 years.
Yep.
And when that luck runs
Ourselves
out, they
included.
have no skill,
Yep.
right? And so they're going to sit there and go, well, what do I do now? I don't have the skill set that I need to actually do real estate in a real market. And they're going to leave. And what happens to those clients? They're up for grabs. And the great ones are going to grab them, right? So now is your time. There is no better time than right now.
So let's talk about where the puck is going. But I had this conversation with a group of my neighbors yesterday. Buyers are coming to Florida for what reason?
Life.
Life. We've got beaches, we got water. We still have very affordable housing. I'm not kidding. Go to Zillow and shop on houses in Atlanta.
Yep.
Atlanta's higher priced than Florida.
Yep.
Peoria, Illinois is higher than Florida, right? And what's happened globally? This work from home movement is huge. People can work anywhere now. A lot of people can work anywhere, right? Other than Elon Musk.
Well, right.
Well, that's growing.
Well, is it? Because I'll be devil's advocate for a second, right? So anything you want, you can find the supporting documentation behind it. I can argue that work from home is over because all the publicly traded companies and Elon Musk being so vocal at saying, come back to work, right? Or go, right? I'm going to hire somebody else. So if I wanted to be an alarmist and say, okay, we've got Fed rate Wednesday, probably 1 point, maybe 0.75. Either way, it's going to hurt the market, right? People are going to hit the pause button harder. They're going to sit around. Work from home is coming to an end, and people are here now. They realize how hot Florida is, and they're moving back to New Jersey, right? Even though it's hot there.
It's
So,
hotter in New Jersey,
Right.
by the way. I just talked to somebody in Connecticut yesterday.
but what's the point of this? The point is, I'm going to tell a story, and people will believe my story
Mhm.
based on how I tell my story and the way I sound telling that story. I could be extremely convincing to the seller of that condo that she should take $1 million
Oh, for
offer
sure.
and get the fuck, excuse me, get out.
Yeah.
Like, take your money.
Well, that's what we say,
and be
control the narrative.
That's right.
So what narrative are you going to control?
Right.
Doom and gloom or prosperity?
Your choice.
But it's the point is, they're both out there.
Yep.
And
Well, the real point is tell a freaking story. Talk, talk to people. Tell a story. At this point, I honestly don't even care what the story is. Right? I really don't. If you have a different outlook than we do, great. That's fine.
Share it. It's all
Entitled
over. Facebook's
Share it.
full of opinions.
Someone is going to connect to it. Right? Someone. Right?
Did you see the class
don't have-
Chris did at the Ask the Appraiser last week?
Yep.
It was ridiculous. We had two appraisers bantering back and it wasn't ridiculous. It was a great class, by the way. But it defines.
man, I'm right here.
You can suck entirely.
He wasn't even part of it. They did the whole thing. But it was an appraisal, by definition, if you go back to real estate school, is an opinion of value. So we had these two appraisers going back and forth, and the audience was asking questions. How do you consider a garage that's been enclosed into a bedroom? One appraiser says, I don't give it any value. The other one goes, I do.
Yep.
And then it depends if the garage door's been taken out and put back in, if they put a separate air conditioning unit, and if they get value for this or that. Two people, same question, different answers.
Yep.
Go.
And the problem is they have power.
Oh yeah,
They've got a
you
lot
better
of
be
power.
damn well nice. And they both said, sorry,
They can screw the deal.
100%.
Well, and that's going to be the first thing that starts to change if the market does switch. Where we've seen this before, right? What's the secrets of events? We watch, right? We have to watch the market. What did we see last time when the market shifts? What's the first thing people stop doing? Like what's the first alarm?
Oh, you have to get as many offers.
You don't get as many offers, and then the
Prices
lenders
go
get tighter.
Yep.
And the appraisal stock coming in, right?
Yep.
As soon as you start seeing homes not hit the appraisal mark, you're going to have some issues, right? Now you got the ability to sell. Do you meet the appraiser? Some appraisers want to be
Both
met. some-
appraisers said, we appreciate it, but we'd like you to give us your data before we come out, because we do our analysis before we look at the house.
Yep.
And so you're making us do all the work up front, and then you come and give us more work to do at the end, which I thought was interesting.
Sometimes you don't have the opportunity because you don't know who it is,
Right.
and you meet them. But is the sale happens there most of the time in a changing market, which we're not completely in yet, micro market size. When you start to see a shifting market, one of the first things you're going to have to sell is the appraiser, right? And sell the value and bring the value and help them do their job to hit that mark. And that's one of the things we need to talk about on our presentations, which is why they're hiring us, right?
Right.
If you're not beating them and mirror matching and realizing who the appraiser is, what do they do? Are they DISC? Are they visual auditory? Do you connect with them? Because if they don't like you, they have a lot of power.
Yep.
If they do like you, they have a lot of power.
The one girl appraiser said that. She goes, if we don't like you, we can make your life miserable.
Yep.
I mean, she said it. Chris is nodding his head.
Yep.
Yes, she did.
Yep.
If we don't like you, we'll screw your deal
Yeah.
in a heartbeat.
Easily. And they have all the data to justify it. They can pick whatever data set they want. So help. Right? But it's an interesting market that we're coming into. It's an awesome non-market because there is no market.
Well, I think we started out today talking about micro markets.
Yep.
And you really have to understand that. So that's like, we grew our company on farming. We're doing an interview today at 10 o'clock. We're doing the whole Beggins founding family is going to be here. And Jonathan Stomigat. 30-year anniversary study of what that we did. It's gonna be really cool. But I build my career based on one little neighborhood, right? Where I've made millions of dollars.
Yep.
In that one neighborhood.
Yep.
Over 30 years, right?
350 houses.
350 houses. That's it.
Yep.
And I know it like nobody's business. That's a micro market. So mom's house.
Yep.
2 doors down sold for 975. 4 doors down just sold for $1.2 million. But we don't know what it closed at. It's not closed yet. So that's going to be a big thing. Did that listing agent justify the $1.2 million? Or did they talk, which was too high to go on?
Yep.
In my opinion. And then, or did they cop down to 975?
Right. Was it cash
I don't know.
or not?
Did buyers come to California? I don't know.
What was the kitchen like? What were the bathrooms like? What was the flooring like?
It's
What
a
are the windows
20-year-old
like?
house.
Yeah.
Right?
But did they do new windows? Did they do new doors? Those are the things you start to narrow,
Yeah.
drill down to if that's your micro market. Because you got mom will sell her house one day.
Right.
And that's her closest comp. Or is it, right? And then you have to start thinking about how do you compare that one to the other one?
And we just had a new construction close. But notice I'm talking about the market that I know. The cul-de-sac lot, probably $100,000 dock. It's gorgeous. Brand new construction, never been lived in. Except those tile floors that are like 3 foot by 6 foot, big ass
Yep.
fancy tile floors. And it just went for $1,950,000. It's 3,000 square feet, $537 a foot. Highest comp ever. So every seller's gonna go and say, I want $537 a foot too.
Yep.
But they don't have brand new construction. They don't have a cul-de-sac lot. They don't have a $100,000 dock, and they don't have never been lived in brand new house.
That's right.
So how do you tell a seller? Because there's another seller in the neighborhood who's got a 30-year-old house that he wants $500 a foot for.
Well, it depends on what else is on the market. And if somebody wants to live in that
Well, no,
neighborhood,
that one's been on the market now for 45 days and it's not having one off. And I see it, I'm walking it. They don't walk the dog, they just walk. But I see them in the mornings and I ask them, how's it going? Not a showing. And they hired an agent who's not for the market.
Yep.
And they don't really know where they're going. So how do you handle that? You talk and ask questions and find out what they're
yeah,
doing.
and if you ever have any questions, just reach out and let me know. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you say that all the time. I'll help you. You're my neighbor. I hope it works well for you. I mean, if you have any questions.
We were driving here yesterday from Dad and Jeff picked me up at my house and we're driving and I'm talking about the poor buyer's agents now, because we're still getting leads in the 200, 250 price range. And there's no houses in the 200, 250 price range.
Yeah.
Unless you go out to Bartow or else you go out to Lakeland, or else you go out to different places. Even there, Lakeland's in the 300s now.
Yep.
Right. And I'm thinking, God, it's so hard to be a buyer's agent. So this whole conversation has been demonstrating value that you have as a listing agent, controlling the narrative of the market for the sellers and for defending the price against the buyer's agents. That's a hell of a lot harder to do.
Yep.
But it's worth it, because if not, you better learn to put some gas in your car and learn to sit in traffic on I-4, because that's where you're going to be.
And if you're working with the buyer and the house has been on the market for 45 days, it's never gone pending, you've got some power.
Yes, you do.
Right? You start calling the other agent and say, what's their scenario? When do they want to go? What's their time frame? Why are they selling? Where they want to be? And what's the perfect offer for them? Right? And just give me all the intel you can give me. Let me go back to my buyer and say how we can beat you up without saying that. Right.
Right.
And then you come back and you say, all right, let's make it the strongest offer we can. Let's talk to your lender. Let's give me a full on, have you been pre-underwritten? Right. Like if I wanted to go beat, if Puma's looking for a house, I'm going to position him. If we're going to go with your listing, I'm going to say, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go beat the crap out of them the best I can to get you the best deal. But you got to give me all the tools I need. Let's get on the phone with your lender. I don't need a pre-approval. I need to know for sure you have the loan. Right. And it'll take me a 4-minute conversation with him to find out if he's done that or not. And then we need to do that. Right. I want to know for sure, can we go in strong with no financing contingency and bring this offer? Because now when I go to Craig and I say, here's the offer. I know you wanted 975. My offer is 825. But
I want
here's
$25,000
$150,000
to pay
in
down.
escrow and no financing contingency. We have a 4-day inspection period because I just call my home inspector and I know he could do it tomorrow. And then we're going to go hard. Right. So there's your offer. Right. So now it's attractive for you to take less or whatever you want. Right. So that's the kind of market that we're going into from a market perspective is what are you dealing with and how are you going to play your cards?
Well, I think it's also important when you're in your micro market that you're controlling to defend the values. And you can defend values. We're looking for a form that we made many, many years ago. That was 13 ways to get your price, right? But we were going to offer other things. So you want 825, I'll give you 825, but you're going to pay $50,000 in points,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
but I'll get you your price. And
Right.
we'll keep the prices high.
Yep.
And then, so tomorrow we have a top agent luncheon here with the top agents that are at the event. And I've got two really important guest speakers. I got Mike Wiles from Coast to Coast Lending, and we're going to talk about structuring offers with closing costs and buying down rates. Because that's a huge opportunity now, because that's where we can make the move. And then the second one, I have Glenn Galish from Florida Best Growth Insurance.
Yeah, imagine marketing your listing at 4% interest.
Well, that's what the builders are doing, all right? Let's just follow what the builders do. What are they doing? They're keeping their prices high, but they're paying
Giving you credit.
realtors, they're paying bonuses, and they're paying closing costs for the buy.
Yep.
They're making it easy to buy.
But they're showing the comps for the next sales later at the higher price.
They're not going to lower the prices. They ain't going to happen.
That's right.
But they'll give you other incentives, and they own their own mortgage company too.
Yep.
So we're going to come with all those strategies for you guys to work with, which is really effective as a listing broker.
So I think the short version is it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. And every property is its own little market and its own little micro market. When I'm working with a buyer, when you're working with a buyer and you're trying to sell a house in whatever community, that micro market is what are the other comparable 4.2s, 4.3s on the market. And that's all you need to worry about. And then start tearing into the agents. I mean, guys, this is time to start doing your research, right? If I see it's Shirley Wilson as the listing agent, what tool do I have to figure out if Shirley good or not? I go into MLS, I can go into My Florida, right? I can go figure out when did she get her license, how long has she been in the business, does she have any deals closed, right? And I love when they don't, because now I know I can school them, right? And you can come in a little bit stronger because they don't know what they're doing. So you got to prepare for that. And if you are on the other side of that equation and you're newer, you need to leverage us, right? And don't guess. Call your managers, call us and say, hey, I need some advice, I need some help, because we know what to do in pretty much every situation. And if I don't, I'll call Craig. You know, we bounce stuff off each other all the time. Chris, it's the team, right? So leverage that and don't let that happen to you, but just know that that's happening. Right? People are seeing who they're dealing with.
Go back and watch that video that Chris played a couple weeks ago about a fake agent with a fake brokerage company that came in and took market share in a town and built the reputation as the best agent ever, and they're not even licensed, right?
Yep,
They
yep.
weren't real.
It wasn't even real.
It wasn't
person.
even real. So now we're getting to the marketing part. When you get a listing, market it to the neighborhood and tell them how good you are at getting that listing. And the medium is the message. You got to use your moxie presentation skills and make those presentations and share that with your neighbors, because you're marketing yourself.
Yep.
When that listing goes under contract, market that to the whole neighborhood, that listing that you took, you got under contract, because you got it under contract. And then when it closes, you got to market that too. I live in the neighborhood that I'm talking about for my micro market. I get shit in the mail.
Yep.
I get something from Andy Simmons every month. And I get something. I bought a house in Riverview. The girl that was listing agent, she markets me every time someone goes on in that neighborhood.
Yep.
But other than that, those are the only two consistent people that hit me with anything. But every once in a while, I get a little piece from a Remax broker in St. Pete who did one thing. But there's nobody hitting me, taking control of that. And that's where our consistency now.
Yeah. Well, consistency and telling the story, right? So too often I see, and we've talked about this a lot, but I see posts just listed, and that's literally what it is, with the picture of the house just listed.
Oh man, I'm gonna give comments credit.
Those things, right? Those don't work when you're thinking about the consumer, because all they see is that comes across as all I care about is that I'm about to make money, right? If you actually tell the story, though, because every transaction has a story.
Does Kevin Friel copy you on his stuff? Kevin Friel is as experienced an agent as we have in the company.
Yep.
And he's awesome. And I'm on his database. So whenever he does something, I get it. And it's so compelling to me to read what he writes. His Just Sold card is a page and a half of the story of how I failed the inspection, but he had this done, they got this done. Then this all came together and it ended up being a happy closing. And there's a video of him at the end built into this PDF.
Yep.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's how it needs to get done.
And it's
right?
and I write it back every time. Kevin, that was a great story.
People connect to it, and you never know who's going to read that. Who's like, wait a minute, I'm in that similar situation.
My point
right?
is,
So
that
he can
guy
help
earned
them.
his commission on that.
100%, right? And he's demonstrating expertise. But also, there's going to be somebody that was in that situation that didn't think they could buy, but you helped them get their credit to where it needed to be. To whatever the situation is, tell the story. But if you just go in and say under contract, just sold, whatever, it's not going to work, right? It comes across as being salesy, and that's not what we want.
Okay, I'm going to go to basics again, because we all have to do this, and I know you don't want to, but you have to do it. You got to focus on it. You've got to build your CRM. You've got to have your database. Who are you going to market to if you don't have your database set up? And it sucks. I got 3,700 people in my database. And as soon as I turn on Moxie Engage, it's going to suck all 3,700 in. And then I got to go through 3,700 of them and start saying collaborator, collaborator, client, prospect, collaborator, prospect, collaborator. I'm going to use some wrong words, but collaborator, prospect. Which one is it? So Dad took my advice and started doing it on the airplane. We were flying back to Germany. And he made it about 20 minutes and he gave up because he's got 3,000 contacts in his database too. God,
Yep.
It's a lot. But if once you get that honed in, and then I'm gonna say it again, at closing, you get their birthday, right? And then what's Moxie gonna do with their birthday?
Remind you.
Hey,
when it's
Jeff,
your
Craig's birthday is coming up.
Yep.
And then you're gonna reach out to me as a past client and say, hey, Craig, happy birthday. Mike, it's your 8-year house anniversary. Congratulations.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal because that's why Moxie can do two things. It's gonna make you look better to the people you already know.
Yep.
And it's gonna double your business if you engage with the system.
And if you don't have a database and a bunch of past clients, you've got your social networks. That is basically your world, right?
Yeah.
So you've got
Put them in there.
400 friends or followers. That's a great start. You have 4,000, even better, right? Get to know people and tell your story, right? But you got to tell the story. Like, what if you talked about what if you just made a simple post about real estate is not about real estate, it's about people and communications, right? And what if you just went out talking about how it's about how people trust you and they feel comfortable, and it's about their personalities and are they VAK, are they DISC? Most of the population don't even know what DISC and VAK is. No. So can you bring value and show that you're just a little different than everybody else because you bring something else to the table, which sets you apart, right? Those are the type of things. And if you want to get better at that one, we've got all the tools and Next Level and Beckons Agents everywhere it is. You've got the training classes on DISC, VAK, and the right contracts. We've got every tool you need to take your confidence to the next level so you can show competence, and that equals trust, right? So you got to sharpen up your skill because all of us have been lucky for the last few years and business has been relatively easy because interest rates have been so low, and it was stupid not to buy because it was basically free money, right? It's still that way right now. We're just spoiled with the way it used to be, but it's not as easy because people are hitting the pause button.
Average interest rate for homes over the last 15 years is 7.7%.
Yeah.
Right? You guys don't think you think that's high because you haven't been in real estate longer than 5 years.
Right.
But if you've been in real estate longer than 5 years, you remember. I mean,
For the general
my
public.
my house I'm in now, I bought at 8.75%.
Yeah.
And then what did I do? I married the house and I dated the mortgage.
Yeah.
So then I traded the data and I stopped dating that 8.75% and I dated a 4.25%. And I thought I was brilliant, right?
Yep.
And I pulled 100 grand out of the house when I did it.
Right.
And then I dated that 4.25% mortgage for 5 or 6 years. And then I dumped her and got a 3.5% mortgage and pulled another 100 grand out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Married the house. I've been there for 22 years. I've had 4 different mortgages.
That-
Crass, but it's
No,
true.
that's the way, but those are the conversations we got to keep having.
Yeah.
Is
That's what we're telling
that, right? It's everything, buy whatever you can afford. Because look, the simple thing, the story that I told earlier, 10 years ago, what was it worth? 10 years before that, what was it worth? 10 years before that, what was it worth? And 10 years from now, what will it be worth? The answer is more, right? The answer is always more. It's an appreciating asset and it will be worth more. Now, will we have some hiccups over the 10 years and maybe we have a market where it's lower? Yes. But in the grand scheme of things, it's always worth more. So buy whatever you can afford to buy for the payments that you qualify for, and you're making the best investment you've ever had in your life, right? Cash flow in real estate, especially when you could buy something now that pays for itself, you're going to have a windfall when you can refi that and even make more. So buy right now, especially when markets start to soften, the micro
If you can
markets
afford
soften,
it, yes.
get in there.
I just had a flashback. Dad and I were driving through Miami 5 or 6 years ago, and we did a stroll down memory lane.
Yep.
And the first house Dad bought in Miami was $13,000, and it's in a crackdown neighborhood now. And we Zillowed it.
Yep.
And it was $285,000. Then we drove by the house in Miami where we live.
Yep.
And that house he bought it for $60,000, renovated it, and then they sold it for $275,000. This is 25.
Yeah.
That is like 36 years ago. That house was destroyed, tear down, bank repoed, and it was $1.6 million.
Yeah.
But it was an acre lot in Pinecrest.
Yep.
Which became like South Tampa
Yeah.
School District.
Yep.
right? $1.6 million for a vacant lot tear down.
Yep.
That adds over 275.
Well, we have all of the stories. I mean, just on the beaches, I still talk to people who've been there forever. They bought their home lot package for 30 grand on the intercoastal, right? But that was back then. It was 30 grand. It was a lot of money.
Yep.
Right. But they still able to do it. But now it's worth $1.5 million, $2 million, right? So
Generational wealth.
buy what you can buy. Always buy as much as you can afford, and especially if you're investing, invest in something that cash flows.
But have the expectation you're going to own it. Buying to flip right now is not a good idea.
That's right. That's right. Well, it depends. You'll find opportunities along the way too, but you got to just know that micro market.
Yep.
All right. So what's the takeaway?
My takeaway is get your ass in your car and drive to Orlando.
Yep.
And there's still learning sessions starting at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, all the way to 5. There's a cocktail reception tonight.
Yep. And tomorrow the same thing.
Tomorrow, the same thing. But a session, Mike Needler's going to be here. Greg Sexton's going to be here.
It's cheaper to stay than it is to drive with gas prices, so justify it.
Yeah, driving the I-4. So if not, know that we're going to get the information, bring it back to you.
But it's also fun. This is where, guys, you got to be a masters of your craft, and you've got to keep learning. And the learning sessions are that, right? It's learning. It's for you to come back with more competence, which equals more confidence for you to talk about in your next listing presentations, to have tips and tricks to go on your next buyer, and it's to make yourself better. So that's why you're here. That's why you're on watching every morning. We thank you for your attention, and all we do is bring you some more content, guys. We're here to help you have the best life we can. So very good.
Cool.
All right. Parting words, Mr. Puma.
That's it. Keep telling stories, guys.
Have a good day.
The more you can story tell, the better off you're going to be.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Let's go trade my room out further.
There you go. That's right.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
See
See
ya.
you soon.